Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is that you happen to be watching this. Thanks for looking at this video. We're going to continue with going through all the different molds that I have. Again, I don't have any association with these companies. I'm not paid by them. I don't get any special discounts. So they're just straight up, no BS reviews of these molds. Today we're picking on, not really picking on it, but this is the Angling AI 4-inch Stinger. Probably seen this on a lot of different videos, a lot of different bait makers. But I'm going to give you my review on it. So, as we always do, first off, let's talk about the cost. This, right now, at time of filming, is a $149 mold. Not a bad price. It's 3 cavity, so if you estimate that out, $149, that's $50 per cavity. You can't buy a single shot for much less than that. So I think that's a pretty fair, decent price. So I'm going to go ahead and give that an 8. It's not like it's extremely cheap or anything. I mean, it is a smaller mold, but I think it's decently priced. So I'm going to give that an 8. Along with that, you can also, for an additional $90, get a tail mold where you are actually able to shoot just several of these tails, and for $90 you get a 10 cavity, and that kind of goes into the versatility that we'll talk about a little bit here in a minute. So let's talk about the design. It is your standard beaver tail. It's designed quite well. It's a beaver tail. In the end, I mean, this is remelt. So, but in the end, this is what you're looking at. This is the baits. The nice thing about it is if you want, you can totally remove that tail, have it just like that. You can remove these off the edge, have just the tail. You can separate the tail like that. Another thing you can do is separate it even more for even more action. It's perforated, so you can actually get a ton of action and different appendages flowing. It's got your six legs, little ball nubs at the end of it. Nice design. So I'm going to actually give that a 7. It's it's not groundbreaking because the beaver mold, the beaver bait's been out there for quite some time, but I'm going to be lenient. I'm going to give it a 7 for this. Going into versatility, as I just showed you, a ton of options as far as how you would make this bait work for you. Let's also talk, it does single shots, of course, shown here. It does do duals quite well. Here's an example. You might wonder why I picked the old ketchup and mustard or Ronald McDonald colors. I just think that they show how well a mold will shoot. And if it works really well when they blend, you get a situation such as like the tail here where it actually goes from red and yellow into an orange. And it does a great job. I mean, you're talking precision. That is right there. Does a great job of that. I mean, you can even see that in the tail. Now, triples, yeah, it sure does. Again, this is the standard color I use for triple, for example. So here we've got the, just like in the other video, we've got the Morning Dawn on top, orange on the bottom, and you can actually see the purple or June bug technically through there. Look at that. That is a perfect triple. It doesn't get much better than that. You kind of have to attribute it to the fact that it is a very symmetrical bait, so it works extremely well for that. Now, to go along with that, also you have, if you were to do the tail mold, purchase tail mold separate, you can actually do this entire piece a completely different color also if you wanted. So as far as versatility, I'm giving this a 9. It is a very versatile bait to shoot. There are tons and tons of different options you could do for this. So I'm ranking it very high for that. As far as the use, this might be one of the easiest molds to shoot. The only thing that I ever see, and this is a perfect example of it, you got to look real close, but the body right there, right in this area here, I'm not sure the light can catch it, it will dent right there from time to time, just because I think there's so much plastic to that spot, and if you get a little too warm or your mold's too cold, I've even had it happen when the mold and everything is hot. but it does have a tendency every once in a while to dent right there. Other than that, this thing shoots like a dream. Appendages always fill out nicely. The legs fill out nicely. The tail, it. You can look right there. There's no bubbles. That's really thin, and there are no bubbles that show up in there. So I'm giving this a really high score. Also, this I'm going to give a 9, and that's for the use and how easy it is to shoot this bait. As far as appeal, I think there's a high appeal for this. I'm betting that Angling AI still cranks a ton of these out on a weekly basis. One of the things I look at as far as appeal is I'm on several forums that are for mold trades and bait trades and things of that nature. I see a high demand for people looking for these used on the secondary market, and they very rarely show up, which tells me people still want them, and that people that do have them don't want to let them go. So that to me shows that there's a high appeal for it. Now, again though, it's a beaver style bait. There are a lot of options. If you actually look around, there are a lot of options for beaver style mold baits or bait molds. You can find several different varieties, anything from CNC to cast aluminum to silicone to stone molds. There's a lot of options out there. So I can't go that high on the appeal, but I am going to give it an 8 simply because of, the bait that it is and how well it, how much people are looking for this specific mold from Angling AI. So at the end, if we give that an 8 and we tally everything up, we end up with a total score of 8.2. Do I think this is worth the purchase at $149? Yes, I do. This is a great bait. Several ways to rig it. You do Carolina rig, Texas rig. I'm just now starting to toy around with putting a nail weight in the rear end and the hook up here and actually rigging it Nico style. I have also fished it and had great results fishing it Tokyo style, which is just basically, if you didn't know, it's just a weight with a wire with the hook up here, Texas rigged. And that way you can just kind of punch it through the weeds and fish it like that. You can also, it is thin enough you could punch with it too if you wanted to. So in the end, I'm very, very happy with it. I think 8.2 is a great score for it. And if you are interested in this mold or even have an inkling of an idea that you might be on the edge of getting or not getting it, go for it. You will not be disappointed. 8.2 out of 10. Thanks for watching.